Old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Well, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Midnight's Edge in the Morning. It's Friday, and the only ones who decided to show up are the Canadians, who it's actually a holiday for this weekend. So welcome, Paul.
Weekend.
How you doing? Is it when? This weekend or next weekend?
Next weekend, 24th.
The 24th, yeah.
Well, ours is next weekend too, then. Yeah. Okay, so I thought you guys was this weekend. I thought you said script.
No, next weekend. Next weekend.
Oh, you confuse me. All right, well, never mind. Forget all that shit. Let's start over. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Midnight's Edge in the Morning. It's just me and some Canadians. We got Paul. How you doing?
Yeah, up in Canada, the 2-4 weekend is important for 2 reasons. One, that's what we call our case of beer, a 2-4, the twofer. And it's also when most people open their cottages.
So, yes, otherwise known as Victoria Day weekend. But
Victoria Day weekend. No, we don't. Yeah, it's fine. Long dead.
Our Labor Day is next weekend.
Your Labor Day is next week?
Or Memorial Day, I mean, sorry.
Memorial Day, yeah. Labor Day.
I always get the two flipped. Yeah, I always get them flipped like that. For
really?
Some reason.
There's Memorial Day and then there's Veterans Day. Those seem more likely like you get flipped.
I don't know. I don't care. It's just a holiday, all right? I know I got to work because Andre doesn't give it to me off. See, he's not here, but I am. Yeah.
There's no holiday this weekend, so what's
I don't know why. I thought you said there was this weekend. I don't know. I misinterpreted you last night. Anyway, Andre's off dealing with family stuff. Yellow Flash is off doing something else, so he's not going to be here. We don't know who might show up. I sent the link out to a bunch of people, but we know the Canadians are here, like I said. So
because we're reliable.
You are. Samuel Maine sent us in a super sticker already, though. Thank you for that, Samuel Maine. We appreciate that. It is a cup of coffee. I think we all could use that this morning. That would be helpful. And you got yours from Bucky's already. There you go. And we got Peter Venkman in the house with 11 pounds, or less 11 euros. Sorry, not pounds. Says, I thought for a moment that Mary Balstein, Zoolander, was a guest on your Wednesday show. His anecdote, or Maury, not Mary. His anecdote about Hollywood were a lot of fun to listen to. Afterwards, I watched Shoot 'em Up. Brilliant. Oh, yeah, because of Michael. Yeah, he was fun. I'm sure we'll have him back again soon.
Started watching Beanstalk, which he didn't mention, but Lois Lane opens up the movie.
Margot Kidder?
Margot Kidder.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Isn't it?
No, Full Moon did some actual, like, even though they didn't spend much money on them back then, they actually, during that period, they actually had some pretty good stuff.
Michael's very funny. He's right out of Central Casting.
Well, like Michael said, the beauty of that era for him is that, you know, even though they didn't have the money and they were under pressure constantly, other than that, Charlie just let them do whatever the hell they wanted. So you had pretty much free reign as a creative to, you know, you didn't have somebody breathing down your neck saying, well, you can't do this. Well, we need more dogs in this scene. Well, we need less, you know, white people in this scene, you know, or anything like that. So, like, yeah. But anyway, thank you for that, Peter. And we appreciate that you had a good time. And then we got MOOSE, which spells moose, showing up in the chat with a $5 super chat. Says, I'll be honest, I passed out and my phone alarm woke me. Worked 86 hours at the hospital this week. Really need the education to step up. Anyway, continue. Oh, wow. Well, sounds like you're a hardworking person, and thank you for your service at the hospital. the educational system. He corrected himself. That's all right. It sounds like you're going to school at the same time. So if not, I misinterpreted that as well, just like I do everything else. Waltman 4 sent in $9.99 and said, forget Call of Duty. Assassin's Creed Shadow is where it's at for DEI stuff. Even Japanese gamers and Wikipedia members are telling Westerners to stop being history revisionists. Yeah, well, it turns out Call of Duty just happens to be the talk of the morning anyway, or at least today. We're going to get into that a little bit and some other things. And then Kenneth LaRock sends in a 5 Canadian and says, Victoria Day is Monday. This weekend is a long weekend. That's what I thought.
That doesn't make sense. It's the furthest away from the 24th is usually the day, and that's on a Friday. So if the government scheduled it for Monday, they're incompetent as normal.
No, that's Canadian government for you.
That's all government, man.
Well, don't even get me started on ours.
Ours is just always called the May 2/4 weekend. So if it's the closest to the weekend, that's where the holiday lands.
And so you just had to explain with the beer thing. That made sense.
Yeah.
I'm from Wisconsin. I understand beer talk. I may not drink it, but.
Yeah.
And so that being said, I was going to say something else and I totally forgot what it was. But we got Patrick Robinson sending in 499 says critics are bashing If because it's better than anything modern Disney has done and it isn't woke. Wife and I saw it last night, both loved it. Well, we could maybe start there because sadly for If, you and your wife sound like we're the only ones who went to the movie.
Well, they got 1.15 million previews.
Yeah, not very good. Not very good at all for Mr.
1.75, higher than I thought. Okay.
Reynolds. Yeah, even still, that's not good. That's not good. That means it's not going to have a very good weekend, most likely.
Was this the Ryan Reynolds movie?
Yeah, the Ryan Reynolds Drop Dead Fred ripoff. The Imaginary Friends
again. Jeez.
And again, I think this is another film that was poorly named as well. It should just be called Imaginary Friend.
Yeah.
Because every time somebody goes if, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Well, if what?
If what? Yeah, exactly. Like what? Huh? And then somebody has to explain the plot.
Song.
Right. Go ahead.
I'm saying it reminds me of the Pink Floyd song. If.
Kind of. Yeah, I see where you're coming from there. But like when you talk about it, you have to explain to people what you're talking about. So that to me means that it's a failure. Now, at least with the Ungentlemanly Warfare one, it was just a difficult title to remember. This is just too simple and stupid. It should just be called Imaginary Friend.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Guess what you're doing today?
Yep. I'll watch the.
And so does the wife, evidently. So yeah. So John Krinsky's movie is not looking like it's going to turn out very good for the weekend. It says 40 million here, but I'd be surprised if it does that. And
remember, this is John Krasinski. This is Jim from The Office.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
What did I say?
He just John Krinsky.
I can't read.
The husband of Emily Blunt.
Emily Blunt. Yeah. I mean, listen, he's a decent writer. He's got a fan base that loves him for being Jim, but he has never been able to break in film. Whether
the sad part, the horror movies about those were huge, weren't they?
Well, they had a huge marketing and they made some decent money, but they
Quiet Place ones, because there's another one of those coming out next weekend. Yeah,
but he dies in that first one. He's not in any of the others.
No. The other one's a prequel
funny. When
coming
he's
out.
not speaking, people will watch him, but when he opens his mouth, people are like, "Nope, never mind, bye."
And he was briefly
Mr. Fantastic.
Mr. Fantastic.
Yep. Yeah. Even though he looks like Dr. Doom without the mask, but
no,
not.
He doesn't.
He got turned into
paint his face gray, and he looks like Dr. Doom. But if you take off that mask and put a beautiful person behind it, makes sense. He has an elongated face.
I have an elongated face. I could be Dr. Doom.
I have a very round face. I could be Mole Man.
Do you have a big mole?
No.
Oh, well, if you did, it'd be cooler because it would play with the name.
That's because he'd be very shrewd.
Well, they're comparing this to Hop.
from 2011.
I don't even remember Hop.
Is that because Krasinski was a part of that too, or is it just because that's the last time a family movie like this opened this weekend? I don't understand. Because like that's over 13 years ago, or almost 13 years ago, or 13 exactly years ago, whatever you want to call it. That's a long time ago. Well, why would you compare it to a movie from that long ago?
Not only that, that was an animated film.
Yeah, well, this technically is the same thing. It's CGI animated mixed with live action, and so is Hop. So maybe that's why.
Yeah. Okay, maybe.
But that's still far off. I would compare it to something more modern. We've had plenty of it, like Sonic.
Sonic, yeah, would be closer. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. Maybe like this to me is like in 19 like 88 comparing Rain Man to Jaws. Like it just makes no fucking sense. It's a movie from fucking 15 years ago. What the hell? I don't know. Anyway, the reviews are challenging though. They say 51% on the Rotten Tomatoes, but it seems like the audience, at least the few individuals have seen it, liked it. I was hoping for Culture to show up because I think he saw it last night. The other opener today was Strangers Chapter 1, which has been getting just bombarded by poor reviews. And I guess it comes from Rennie Harlan. I didn't even know that.
Wow.
Wow. Not a good comeback for him if that's the case, because it's only drawing in 1.2 million from previews, but it only had an $8.5 million budget. So
Okay.
it's gonna come out all right.
Make some money, yeah.
It's a horror film, which means critics don't matter.
Critics don't matter. It'll probably get 16, 20 within the first couple of weeks. It'll be fine. Won't be
The
a
other
lot
opener.
bigger.
The other opener is Back to Black, and that's the Amy Winehouse biopic. And Paulie saw that, and it didn't sound like he liked it too much. It doesn't sound like the reviews are very good for it either. Why is it so hard for them to do these sometimes? Like some of them they do so well, and then you'll have like this one, and then like the Tupac one I remember was a trash piece of crap. It's like, what the fuck? Oh, because usually those seem like a no-brainer and easy to make.
Everything looks easy on the surface, but once you
Well,
get
no. But I mean, it's a biopic, right?
Yeah.
All you got to do is kind of emulate what you know, like.
Well, it's the other part too is there's a lot of people that have different interpretations of people's lives from the celebrity side. So how do you reconcile the best one that is going to resonate with audiences? Those are,
I guess what I'm talking about is more like the poor acting, poor story choices. Like I even kind of leaned into this with the Marley one, although that was kind of pretty good for most people. And then the movie was okay and well acted. I was just kind of like, this is the part of his life you're going to decide to key in on. Like, that's the other thing. Even Elvis, although that was kind of like off the wall, like, yeah, it still did very well. I mean, I hated the stuff they changed in the Queen one, but I had to admit it was good as a movie.
Yep.
Right.
It captured the fun. Like that's the other part too. There's certain tones that are associated with people's biographies that you have to kind of do. Like if I were to do a bio script on George Lucas, and I could, it would be all about the experimentation, and it'd be leaning into that and the contrast with how experimental Lucas is, but also how kind of reserved and close to the chest he is as well. And that's his conflict. And how it drives everyone around him nuts, because that's also the true case. But even nailing that in execution for filming and casting and then marketing, that's out of a lot of people's hands. So I mean, there's also Madonna biopic that's in the works that is really bad.
See, I can see that being bad.
But it's bad because Madonna has a very sordid history that a lot of people know about. That's really horrible. That makes her look worse than you ever would think of her as. And it's like, I don't know if she's going to sign off on this, but
well, it just feels like for every Rocket Man we get like that Whitney Houston biopic, or the one I mentioned before too, like just the really bad ones. The Tupac one was so horrible. Oh my God. And I don't get it. It's like, and I'm a fan of these people. It's like, I should almost be predilection to like them, but I don't know. Well, that being said, we got a couple super chats here. Let's grab real quick.
Let's grab them.
We got that one already, but Dr. Long Dongler sent us in that pound 99 super sticker to remind us to hit that thumbs up. Thank you for that, Dr. Long Dongler. I don't know what we'd do without you. Hypergiver 2 sends in a member chat for 20 months. Says, I just don't get The West's obsession with Yasuki.
Okay.
Dude did nothing of significance except allow his lord to die and do party tricks. Okay. So what Hyperguyver's talking about, of course, is the whole Assassin's Creed Black Samurai bit. Have you guys been keeping up with this at all?
No.
Well, yeah.
Okay, so my understanding is that they're blowing out of proportion this individual and them being a samurai, basically.
Okay.
Well, they're again, I'm not an expert in this, but again, one of the problems with dealing with a controversial topic is that suddenly, if you choose to be, you're forced to learn about stuff that you've never wanted to learn in your entire life. So after 9/11, suddenly everyone became an expert on Islam, which like no one ever cared. Most North Americans who weren't part of the faith never cared about. And this now has proceeded incrementally throughout our lives. And now that social media has kicked in really hard, suddenly we're learning about black ninjas. No, not ninjas, samurais.
Samurai.
Apparently there was one historically, but making that person central to a game seems to be very diversity oriented.
Okay, yeah. So this has gone so far as to hit Time magazine.
Yeah,
already. So that means it's hit the mainstream now. Okay, so the short of this is this new Assassin's Creed game has decided to make this character the central character of the story. But if you actually do even just a small bit of research, let alone those who are actual historians and know anything about this stuff, just from my understanding, is that samurai is a word that is interchangeable with a servant. And not only that, people can be given the title, but doesn't actually really mean anything in some cases. Like this one, in fact, this Yuzuki, I can't remember how you say his name. I apologize. He was actually basically treated as a pet. Okay, so the short version of the story he was brought over. They had never seen a black person before. They thought he was interesting. He'd do a few things for parties and stuff. A year later, his owner died and he got sent back. So they're trying to claim that Yazuki is some magic special samurai warrior, right? If he was a real samurai, like the big thing is he would have died with his master. Like, that's one big thing. And there's all kinds of other things to go if he was a true quote unquote samurai in the true sense of the, the warrior sense. So yeah, there's a big debate around this now, and it's hit the mainstream. I'm not a gamer. Yellow Flash is our main gamer. He was not here today. So I apologize to those out there who are like, Tom, you don't know anything about this stuff. I know I don't. I don't know anything about gaming. I've played like one or two Assassin's Creed's game, and I don't even know if I finished them. So yeah, basically like an honorary samurai is my understanding. Like last night, Comics Division, this is more his domain. He did a pretty good job of breaking this down. So I suggest checking that stream out from last night over on Comics Division's channel. This is actually his specialty. So history stuff. So yeah, that's my understanding of the situation.
Oh, it's getting lots of publicity, and whether it ends up being positive for the sales or negative, that we don't know, right? We can guess.
Oh, it's negative, and over in Japan, they're freaking the fuck out.
No, Japan, it's going to be really problematic, and it's too bad that Japan is not a large gaming country.
Not at all.
No, not at all. They're not interested in gaming whatsoever. So,
well, the funny thing is the only reason I remembered who this person was when the story was being talked about recently is because I remember it because he was the one that they tried to wash his skin because they thought he was dyed with ink. That's the only reason I remember the story from high school.
Well,
elementary school or history or whatever.
Ubisoft is one of the companies that has been very highly infected by the game consultants. And Ubisoft, I don't know whether the Montreal office did this. Ubisoft is a very big presence in Montreal, and so does Sweet Baby Inc., right? But they, in one of the reports, they hired some very unusual consultant with very weird ideas about how this thing should work, and then they listened to them.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
So yeah, I wish I knew more about this. And my understanding though is that the word samurai was more or less just interchangeable in a sense in
feudal Japan.
interpretation.
Yeah, and I'm your
Yeah.
gaming guy, but I don't like Ubisoft to begin with. I don't buy their games. And so in this case, I can't help you. I'm sorry, all you Midnight Edgers out there. There's
You're
lots of
also
other
a
games I could talk about, but I can't. I've never liked how Ubisoft managed their games, controlled their games. So,
So it says here Assassin's Creed is being based in Japan and then not using Japanese male protagonists is stupid, said one fan on X. We know exactly why they're using Yasuki, the message, and it's annoying. It would be as dumb as having it based in Africa and deciding to use white male protagonist. So yeah, that's just a few of the responses to this.
well, I mean, this all dovetails with what I've been saying, is that we need more diversity of creative efforts, not necessarily more diversity within each creative effort. It just looks weird, and it also twists history around. One of the problems that the British are having is that with Bridgerton and all this other diversity kick, is that the kids in school think that, oh look, 1800s Britain, was this wonderful diverse historical experience, when it wasn't. When they should actually be taught at just how bad things were for diversity.
Yeah.
So people are now, in the same way that people go to juries in court and wonder why the police aren't operating like CSI. Where's all the computerized 3D modeling of the death scene, and how come, where's the photoshopping where you can zoom in 8 million times to get to the thing? I mean, this
zoom enhance.
This has been a very big problem with jury selection, is that people think what's on TV is real. So now people are getting a distorted history because everything has suddenly become diverse. Doctor Who made Isaac Newton a South Asian
for some reason.
Yeah, so I'm not entirely certain how that helps.
Yeah, to me, it's the equivalent of somebody going, well, Jesus and Cleopatra were black because my grandma said so. It's like, that's not how the world works, but okay. You got proof for that? You can back it up? But yeah, Chaos Sonic 1 says, not only that, according to Grum's, Wikipedia altered the site to pander to Ubisoft, then they got called out and deleted it. Yeah, I was trying to get Grum's on this morning, but unfortunately he had an appointment he couldn't break away from. Otherwise, I'm sure he would have joined us. Chaos Sonic 1 then sends in another 5 and says, I'm not getting the game, not for politics. This is the reason why. Sent you a DM. Why? Look at the pricing. It's not worth it. Yeah, so this is another thing that some of the people in the chat are bringing up. The game, just to get the full game, is like $130. It's insane.
That's stupid.
I'll just play my Valheim and Diablo.
Yeah, I mean, Pac-Man works for me.
Half-Life is great to replay. Both 1, all the different variations of 1 are still super entertaining. And then there's the updated version where they made the graphics better in Half-Life 1, which is fantastic. So, and it's a wonderful game. Basically, Ubisoft just regenerates its same engine over and over again. So that's all it really does. It was entertaining a long time ago during Assassin's Creed, but Not now.
Yeah. Nina said she did a stream with Grums on Wednesday about this, so check that out if anything. And then we got bass player 2011 Iffy, who says with 1999 in feudal Japan, samurai served lords, landowners, and the emperor, basically the same thing as a knight in Europe. The shinobi has always been more fascinating, especially in this era. Yeah, and that was my understanding too, is that the name is kind of interchangeable, but an actual samurai warrior is much different than what their understanding of this person was, is my understanding. And then Dark King says with Australian too, Paul Chato, it's all anti-white racism, simple. Yeah, and that's something that the Japanese people were pointing out, is that a game where black people massacred Japanese people in Sengoku period is a perfect example of Yubi. This is what happens when political correctness is taken to the extreme. Right?
So this dovetails with what we were talking about backstage before we came on board, is that every generation has its creative energy and its group of people who generally are making stuff for themselves. That's really how the creative business has worked and evolved forever. And now we're getting people who are making games for themselves. So I don't think it's so much anti-white racism, is that the people who are making these games, this is the way they envision the game. This is their honest view of it. I think the big difference is that there's just not enough audience for this. They have not graduated enough people, or they're spending not too much time in tents on campus to buy games, or they've spent all their money on tents and flags of a certain country to be able to actually afford these games. That's the problem. So, I don't know what the audience is. That's ultimately the problem.
Well, and that kind of actually dovetails even more into our next topic here. One of our main topics as well. The Silk Spider Society is dead at Amazon. And I don't think this is the story so much more as I think that the story goes as kind of Sony is trying to move away from some of this stuff, I think. And I predicted after the disaster that was Madam Web, we were going to see Tom Rothman try and distance himself from some of this kind of crap.
Or at least sort it out. Yeah.
Yeah, because this being canceled is not a surprise to me. So sources are saying that Sony Pictures Television Studio has canceled the Silk Spider series. No longer moving forward. And sources say Sony TV, which owns the rights to the franchise of Marvel Universe that featured more than 900 characters, plans to shop the drama series former Walking Dead showrunner Angela Kang. So they're going to shop it around. So it's Amazon who decided not to go forward with it, which is surprising, actually.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see where that winds up. But there was another part of this, too, because you said, sent this to me, Script Doctor, about Tom Rothman himself. So he is actually trying to get more people involved with going to the movies. Tom Rothman, that's Columbia Pictures Centennial talks Quentin Tarantino streaming and how to bring young audiences back to the movie theaters. So you sent this to me. So what about this did you find interesting? It's an interview with him, actually.
Yeah, I just thought that he's focusing on the theaters. I haven't perused the entirety of the interview because I've been working this entire morning, but this did pop up and I sent it your way because I thought you'd find it fascinating. He talks about how he says here, like in regards to future P&A and how does that represent for movies, he says the answer to your question is that marketing will become much more efficient. Linear television, especially live sports, is still relevant, and you see a lot of ads for bad boys on live TV sports. Holistically, the answer to your question is digital is by far, in a way, definitely more important than any linear advertising, and it's much more targetable across the board. That was basically what he's saying. Is like it's all about the advertising again and getting people to see the commercials on the platforms that they watch. Linear is still going to be there. Digital is got to be put forward. One of the things that I don't know if he addressed yet, because I haven't completed the article, is to operate and run a digital marketing campaign lasts far longer, extends far beyond what was normally done on linear and print ads. And that is because you have to start all your social media accounts for that particular project. You then have to manage a website, and those things have to be managed essentially in perpetuity to a degree, and before they can be shuttered into a broader program where someone just makes sure that it has general maintenance. So, and that has a dollar amount associated with it for a very, very long time afterwards, where before you did your posters, your print ads, your commercials, and that was it, and you're done. And you don't have to maintain and do anything. And that model is gone now, which is why advertising expenses have skyrocketed since the dawn of the internet.
Interesting. Well, on that note, we got a few more super chats here that want to get us back to the samurai stuff. Hyperguyver 2 sends in 5 and says samurai warriors were called bushi, hence the bushido way of the warrior. Yes. Chaos Sonic 1 sends in 5 and sent you another XPM. It actually gets worse. Everyone at Ubisoft on the original scripts of Assassin's Creed Shadows. Okay. Oh boy. I wish I knew about this stuff, guys. I don't follow this stuff, so that's why I'm horrible at covering this. So I was trying to change the subject, but we're back to Ubisoft. So, according to Grums, Ubisoft apparently changed Assassin's Creed Shadows, throwing away the original story and instead running with Yuki and obscure black retainer of Nobunaga as a front and center. An Ubisoft writer who worked with the game says original story was completed different. This gels with what employees at Ubisoft tell me that Ubisoft is completely locked down with DEI and is the most oppressively studio to work at. I think it means oppressive, as DEI is everywhere. Yuzaki himself is a footnote in the Nobunaga story. Nobunaga was fascinated with the color of his skin, and he was kept as a retainer until Nobunaga was betrayed and slain. Yusuke fought part of the battle, but surrendered and was imprisoned. Not much is known about him, but Ubisoft decided to run with it anyways. Okay. So we got.
See, this is my point about being educated about stuff against our will. I don't want to learn about this stuff.
That's what I'm saying. I have no idea about any of this stuff.
It's driving me crazy. I know more stuff now than I ever did, and I don't want that. I got important things to think about.
Yeah.
I know I'm driving y'all nuts because I don't know how to pronounce it. I don't understand this stuff.
Oh.
This is why I don't have anybody here to help me cover this. I sent the link to Nina and other people, but nobody is showing up. So I really don't know what to do, guys.
You know, I mean,
again, we're not games. We're mostly pop culture and entertainment.
Today is
film and television.
I got screwed over because nobody showed up.
I have that disclaimer at the beginning of my TV Guide episode saying I am going to mispronounce an awful lot of names. I mean,
yes,
I have to go through a shit ton of actors who I can't remember how they pronounce their names. I got nailed for mispronouncing Balkis or Balkis.
It's Balki, yeah.
Home country.
Yeah.
It's not real home country.
I know, but Mycos or Mikos. But
it bothered me more that you called Bronson Pinchot like Bronson Pinochet or some shit like that. I don't know what the hell it was you called him.
Yeah, Bronson Pinochet. I don't know.
I don't know.
And you know what? I decided not to look it up.
Yeah. Next time, just ask me. It's all good. I actually wrote a song about perfect strangers.
You are one sad human being.
I am. Well, it was a funny song. Chaos Sonic 1 also says that samurais are mostly like knights, so technically making him a samurai would have been better making him a Templar and ninja assassin. Yeah.
And then just the tallest member of the Japanese basketball team.
That's racist.
See, sorry.
Yeah, Gary, I don't know if he's much more of an expert gamer than I am on a apologize. I'd probably get stuck more than he would. Michael Nemo sends in 5. It says studios seem to prioritize DEI over revenue. So isn't it notable that Sony canceled? So, well, we're just finding out that it was actually Amazon who canceled it. and they can still shop it around. But
yeah, they canceled it. And Ton Rothman, he said in the interview, he said the thing that a lot of studio executives said, which is that audiences are hungry for things that aren't IP. Yes, but they still make IP. So what's your problem? So the problem's you. Just throwing it up there.
Rothman's never been a fan of IP though either.
No, he actually talked about like how MGM was better known as a musical studio way back when he was a kid.
He'd rather make Tarantino movies and Edgar Wright movies and stuff like that.
Yeah, and Edgar Wright right now is in talks to direct Barbarella. So we'll see how
who's going to make that for. I know Sweeney's in talks for it. But
Sydney Sweeney's currently has, as far as I know, she currently has the film rights to do it. Edgar Wright is in talks to direct. It is not a remake. It is just another Barbarella story. So that's the only thing I have been able to confirm.
Yeah, and then Michael Nemo says, I meant over revenue. Okay. And then Chaos Sonic 1 says, as I point out, Ubisoft was the creator of Sweet Baby, especially since the founder originally came from Ubisoft and was the start of it. See, now that I think I knew. But yeah. I also send it out to Cabrutus too. So and y'all are listening. And then Michael Nemo wants to know what's the latest on who's buying Paramount. Well, so far, Sony is the front runner.
Sony has actually pulled out.
Oh, did they? That's news to me.
Yeah, there was a couple of days ago they are pulling out to renegotiate a different offer. So their 26 billion may not actually be a 26 billion thing. We don't know what's going on. I'll put it to you that way.
It's way too much money. Maybe they're renegotiating it down.
I think I favorited it somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. But
yeah, because I didn't hear they pulled out. Yeah. But renegotiation sounds more likely. Yeah. Last I knew, Skydance was pretty much.
The weirdest part about like all these searching the trades is that they have terrible search algorithms.
I know.
Okay, because this was like last week. There was some sort of mention that whatever the Sony offer was, it's no longer that anymore. Okay.
While you're doing that, let's circle back around to that. Because just to finish up the gaming news, we did actually have one little story here. Call of Duty, which was in the topic of the day. Developer Activision installs DEI officers. So as Hollywood is moving away from some of this shit, it seems that gaming is getting more into it. So just what Call of Duty needed to ensure the message is propagated. So let's read this here. This comes from that Park Place. A new report claims that Call of Duty developer Activision installs diversity, equity, and inclusion officers on every single development team in order to ensure the message is propagated. This new report comes from a former World of Warcraft team lead, Mark Kern, and his developer contacts and friends. Kern posted on X bonuses and reviews for Activision employees depend on how hard you DEI. He also detailed that DEI officers are installed at every dev team to ensure the message. Furthermore, Kern relayed, of the AAA studios out there, my dev friends and contacts who have come forth tell me that Ubisoft and Activision are the very worst.
That is really scary.
To top it off, Kern shared the internal document that he alleges was sent to Activision employees last week that details all the diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives the company has engaged over the last year. Kern claims that this is just one of a multiple DEI emails sent out weekly in a deluge of propaganda. So here he's got one of the examples. The internal document is signed by Casey Morris, Activision Officer's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. Of note, the document details that not only has the company been indoctrinating employees with woke ideology through various diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. It's bleeding into game design. Well, we already knew that. Just go look at any game anymore. You don't find a hot chick at all. One bullet point reads, made meaningful strides to collaborate with collaborations between inclusive game design, IGD, and our marketing creative team, like representation of King Cow, or King K, however you say that, operator skin, and the inspiration behind its development. The King Cow skin was released as part of the Veterans Day Warrior Pack and was inspired by retired Navy Chief Officer Benjamin F. from American Samoa. Other notes created the IGD Council, comprised of external experts to act as an additional layer of expertise to share input on our content review process in partnership with our IGD team. There are also some suspect bullet points that appear to indicate company is engaging in quota-based hiring and contracting. One bullet point reads, kicked off our TADE and I roadshow with some of our studio leads to deep dive into opportunities to expand our talent reach in collaboration with our talent acquisition team. Okay. In other states, worked with a number of minority-owned business enterprises, MBE, to create experiences for our employees during celebrations in partnerships with our internal events team. Wow. Okay. The first bullet points also states created membership program XP Equity for all Activision employees to partake in an opportunity for connection and growth and increased participation of mentor signups from cohort 1 and to cohort 2. Wow. The document
Are they
claims
passing out little red books?
Yeah, right. While the document claims that the XP equity is open to all employees on the company's diversity and inclusion website, a brief overview of the program makes it clear it is certain to focus on individuals based on their race, sex, sexual orientation, ethnicity, age, and disability. The overview states mentoring proves to build skill, networking, and conference. The XP Equity Mentoring Program is a program open to all Activision employees with special focus on supporting individuals who are part of the diverse groups, including race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity, or expression, age, disability, etc., within our employee population. Wow. I mean, and this just goes on more. As far as the DEI officers are installed on every development team, the company's president, Rob Kostis, declared as part of the company's 2023-24 Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion report. How many times can you say diversity, equity, and inclusion? Like, I think I've said it more today than I have in a long time. Is a critical component of our future success. Our journey toward fostering DE&I began years ago, fueled by the passion and stories shared by employees to fulfill our vision of becoming the most inclusive blockbuster games company. We have embedded DE&I in every aspect of our. They literally say it right there, but they're not even hiding it. So yeah. So I mean, I don't even know how much more we need to get into this. This looks pretty bad. And I don't really have a gamer to bounce this off of.
Well, but I mean, there's a couple things here. Number one is a company can do whatever they want as long as they don't infringe on the rights of their employees. I have found, at the beginning of this whole preferred pronoun adventure, that everyone was saying, no, this is not something companies are going to force you to do. This is just a personal thing, out of the goodness of your heart, to show whether you're an ally or not. But what's happened is that I'm working with suppliers and companies where the companies have strongly encouraged everyone to use them, to the point where I have talked with people who have said, yeah, I don't want to use it, but I have no choice. My company has forced me to include them. So how is that a good thing? So there's obviously a company that wants to make a certain kind of game. Again, it goes back to what I talked about. What's the creative energy of that group of people, and you just like, when I write something, I write it for myself. And I just hope enough people, other people also like it. I have no control over that. And that's the same with any kind of creative effort. In the case of making $100 million game, you just better make sure that there's $100 million worth of audience to be able to pay for that game, right? And for the profit. That's really ultimately the challenge. It's like that movie Bros, which was just too big a budget for there was a $40 million budgeted movie, and it really should have been only a $4 or $5 million movie, right? I mean,
yep. And Judd Apatow fired his management team over that movie after it failed.
It did?
Yeah, he did. I read that I think yesterday.
Wow.
Judd Apatow is a name that has not had its weight in many years because he does suck, and he's been riding off the coattails of Adam Sandler for his entire career. And he produced Bros, which failed spectacularly. Yep. And he then fired his agents and management team over that because I don't know all the details, but I think he's trying to put the blame on them, even though he's the one that was overall in charge of.
Yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah. It's all I can say is like, I hope he finds I hope he goes to make dramas without comedy actors in them. Just stick to a drama. You can do drama, Judd Apatow. You're not funny.
No, I think that has 40-Year-Old Virgin was a hilarious movie, but
that wasn't really him. Like, that was everybody else that worked on it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, like he was there, like he directed it, he puts his name on the script, but he didn't really do anything. That was mostly Seth Rogen and Paul Rudd and Steve Carell pulling that thing together.
That was a funny movie.
They're actually funny. Judd Apatow is not.
Hey, listen, you take every opportunity to feed at the well. I don't care.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, I mean, the only thing that he does is he's the reason why we have why every movie is over 2 hours, because he took the comedy, said we're making it a 2-hour comedy or 2-hour plus comedy. And now everybody's like, okay, well, if they'll go to those 2-hour plus comedies, then they'll go to a 2-hour plus drama and action and everything else, because we know that they sit there and enjoy it, and it's inflated the runtimes of our films. And now we don't have comedies as frequently anymore.
The point is, a creative company, a game company, can make any kind of game that they choose to make. It's just
right. Their money that they're putting it out there, and they're going to sell it. And if no one buys it, then that's their loss. But if people do buy it, then that money gets reinvested into another project.
Yeah, I still think it's a group of people who are hoping that the audience will swell big enough to be able to buy the product based on their philosophy. But the problem is, it's also, they're part of a generation with the smallest birth rate. So that's going to be problematic if you're trying to create a DEI audience, right?
I guess we're going to have like a birthing shrink as opposed to a birthing boom.
Yeah. And a good chunk of the people that they want to be part of aren't involved in making babies anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And then on that note, let's move on, because that actually segues nicely into this story. Francis Ford Coppola slammed studio system after he self-financed Megalopolis. Execs don't make good movies; they pay their debt obligations.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that goes into what RMB was saying. Robert Meyer Burnett. He says execs today, they know how to read spreadsheets, but they don't know how to make movies.
Says, I fear that the film industry has become more of a matter of people being hired to meet their debt obligations because the studios are getting in great debt. And the job is not so much to make good movies. The job is to make sure they pay their debt obligations. Obviously, new companies like Amazon and Apple and Microsoft, they have plenty of money. So it might be that the studios we went for so long, some wonderful ones, are not to be here in the future anymore. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to say something a little bit weird on this, is that the movie business didn't work because people were good at their business or good at what they were doing. They wanted to be in the movie business. And that's what's changed, is that you went to Hollywood in the 90s, where I spent most of my time. People just wanted to be in the business. Now, what's changed is that they want to send a message. They don't care about the business. And they're just as shallow, just as ignorant. It's just they're directing their energies towards worthless concerns. That's the difference.
Yeah. Instead of the concerns that are what make the business money, which is movies.
Correct.
If they were arrogant about movies, we'd all be happy, because at least they'd be arrogant about movies. But now they're arrogant about audience, bottom line, and certain other aspects that have nothing to do with real movies.
Exactly.
Well, and you've got everybody trying to cancel Coppola right now because he's a white man who spent his own money on making a movie.
Which you never should.
True, but he's about to die, so who cares?
Yeah.
That's what he said. He's like,
he ain't getting any of it. He's doing the movie. Screw her.
And how did the movie turn out?
Well, it got mixed reactions. It got a 7-minute standing ovation, but it also got some boos. Now Francis, like I said, is funny is because he was, he is one of these lefties, but a lot of these lefties are the ones trying to cancel him right now. Which is funny, but I don't know.
Lefty. That's the
problem. I don't know if Paulie has anything to say about any of this, but that'll also lead us to Paramount business, because that's about how studios are dying. But yeah, welcome, Paulie. How you doing?
Hey everybody, what's up, Midnighters? Call me Chato.
You are on the wrong mic, my friend.
Yeah, I think your camera mic, not your or a phone mic.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when.
Yeah, there was a Windows update that fucked everybody's computer up.
Oh, is that what it was? Because I was
go.
Walking dogs when
much better.
Some help. Hey everybody in the chat, what's going on?
No problem, man.
Get
so yeah, I don't know if you know anything about this Megalopolis movie or have any comments about Coppola or any of that before we get into
Paramount? In regards to the film and its reaction at Cannes, like some people who were there that I've been following, some critics, what they saw was like, it's so indescribable that I can't even review it. I don't know if it's a glorious failure or if I'm an idiot, that type of feeling. So it's probably pretty out there, avant-garde. To like, they're trying to cancel Coppola, but then this morning they're running with Coppola's words on the far right and then pointing Jon Voight out. It's like, what? And then they cut the video when Jon Voight was getting to some salient points. Like, he's like, Coppola was like, oh, we're going towards the far right and fascism, mamadas. And he's like, John, you got different political views. And then Voight says, how did you find out? Like he was, it's like, why are you calling me out, dog? So that's out today. So everything other than like what is actually the film people are talking about. It's kind of like Madam Web on Netflix. It's getting all these amazing numbers right now because people wanted to see what the train wreck was all about. And now people are reviewing it. Oh my God, I saw Madam Web on Netflix. I'm dead.
Yeah, I saw this stuff about his comments, and basically my understanding of the movie is it's a Roman story that's been updated to take place in New York. So like that's kind of where some people are like, whatever on it. But he was also saying stuff about the modern audience and how they view things and stuff like that. And it was interesting because I think Hollywood has got to really rethink things, not just Sony and Paramount here, but let's get on that here because this was asked in the chat earlier and Script sent this to me. So Paramount shares have dipped on the report that Sony is rethinking the $26 million bid. I didn't even see this. This got under my radar. It must have been when I was editing or something. Shares of Paramount Global dipped this afternoon. Trading on CNBC reported that Sony may be rethinking a joint bid with Apollo for the company. A person familiar with the situation said there's no indication Sony is pulling out of the deal. And the CNBC report noted that the rethinking may mean a restructuring of what would be a very complex transaction. And that's no surprise. We'd mentioned that it was going to be kind of a dicey situation, but they might be able to pull it off. So yeah, that sounds like they're just that. I think that what you said, Script, is what it sounds like here. Is they're just going to try and change that.
What they're saying is that they don't like the chocolate dip anymore, and they're going for the caramel.
Well, and that's the
Ooh.
thing is Paramount is full of debt. That's the other thing.
Oh,
Thought you were going to
massive.
say full of peanut butter.
Well, we wish it was full of peanut butter because then this would be a perfect mixture. No. Like it is so full of debt. Like I think that's the bigger problem. That's where like Skydance, and this is where I wish Culture, one of those guys, was here. Because Skydance initially, their deal is they were offering 12 billion cash, and then they were going to take on Paramount's debt. Now, my understanding with the Sony deal was they were just going to pay off the debt. So it sounds to me like they're rethinking that. So I don't know if they found something in their research that's making them rethink that or what.
I would love to know what, where their income is coming from right now. Anyway, we're all talking about their produced product, but they're a lot like Warner's in that they've got a giant studio lot and they're renting out their studio space. I mean, in fact, during the heyday of sitcoms, almost like everything I know was being done on the Paramount lot. Cheers. I went and visited the set of Cheers was on Paramount, and Family Ties, and practically everybody was on Paramount. So
I understand they still rent them out.
But their studio rental stuff was how it's doing.
And just adding to that, I'm hearing through Romy and a couple other working actors, it's slow.
Well, another thing I think we
work
found out
is slow in general. Yeah,
it's like they're renting out a lot of these facilities to themselves too. Paul, is something I heard about.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as far as slow is concerned, even up here, I've got a lot of parents who I know with kids in show business and who have just graduated from all sorts of different entertainment schools, and they're saying no one's getting work. It's really desperate everywhere.
It's just really incredibly slow. Yeah. But back to the Paramount thing too with Skydance is Tom Cruise, right?
I think he's just, I don't think he's I don't know,
because they have a big deal right now.
Company. Yeah, I don't know if he has any part of the company though. It's Ellison's company.
Okay, and but I think Tom Cruise's first thing he's going to be doing is a new film project with the Iñárritu, the guy who did Revenant and Birdman.
Well, I know
he also has gone back to Warner's.
Well, he moved his office back over there.
No, but that's a Paramount thing.
Yeah.
The film project I'm talking about.
Okay.
Yeah. He's still making movies over there. So I haven't heard much about that yet though. So I don't know anything about that one.
Yeah, it's done to where he a couple months ago had the pitch, and Tom literally just signed at the end of the pitch meeting, like, this is incredible. So that's like his next big thing he's doing. I don't know do you guys know if Mission Impossible Reckoning 2 is done as far as any filming?
I don't know.
I was under the assumption that they had filmed everything in its entirety, part 1 and 2, and they just broke it up, but that was not the case.
No.
And then now I know they pushed it back.
It is currently filming, yes.
Okay. Wow.
It's supposed to be out next year.
There you go.
According to what I'm seeing here, though, filming started or as of May 4th or May 9th, sorry, 2024. They say it's still filming, or it's filming. So
yeah. And pause.
Yeah, no shit. So with that, since nobody else has anything to say, I guess Michael Nemo with $2 says, any wagers on on where Doctor Who will be
in a year?
In a year. I'm sure Disney will still pump in money to it, and so will the BBC and stuff, but will it be nearly as possible? Or nearly as popular is what I meant. No.
Smack yourself in the face. Put a hot towel on your head, Tom, and wake up.
It's just I got thrown to the wolves this morning.
I know. I'm just
completely. Not only did I lose my main host that I Yeah. So
No, yeah. I mean, as a guy who really knows very little about Doctor Who, I appreciated the Eccleston year.
Yes.
So I had started watching it, and then I'm working my way to the modern times, and people are saying, "Hey, stop here," and that's way years before the female one. I I just don't see anything just from seeing some of these clips, and I haven't seen the episodes. I just see nothing that motivates me like wow, this is different. This is fantastic.
Well, I mean, and you
And it
listen
looks
to
cheap too.
there was an interview that I believe was taken down from the writer showrunner. Oh, what's his name?
Russell T Davies.
Russell T Davies,
Mm-hmm.
who did a fairly good job during the my ability to remember names is completely shot. But this is his second time around, and his first time wasn't too bad.
Right. Was it with Smith? Wasn't it with the actor's name? Matthew Smith?
No, it wasn't Matthew. It was
I know.
guy in Good Omens.
Okay, yeah. Dave Tennant. There you go.
David Tennant. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
So the thing is, what he talked about was all the stuff that he wanted to put in, being of a person of a certain culture, that he never could do it, and now he's got the chance to put all that stuff in, which is personal insert. All these people want to do this personal insert shit, and it's not part of Doctor Who. Doctor Who has its lore and its rules. Not that it can't evolve, but now looks like a float in the gay pride parade. That's really, I'm watching it going, wow, this is the bondage float. Oh, that's
Right.
great. You didn't come to the gay pride parade to see men in leather.
So you're talking narrow niche.
Very narrow. They've just narrowed the interest of the show down. It was a kid's show with monsters.
Well, and he kind of
ex-Shakespearean actors who couldn't get any more work got to put on some wretched costume and pretend that they were monsters from outer space. That was really the formula for Doctor Who.
And that same
Dr. Lazarus. Everybody was Dr. Lazarus in it. I used to be on stage. I used to do Othello and King Lear, but now I'm the lizard creature from the planet Okron.
Well, from what I got, it was also just very, very English in that, it was cool. I was like, okay, but it just never really clicked for me, but I appreciated Eccleston.
Eccleston,
he's great.
What he did was make it serious and charge it up. Like he put in real male energy into it.
I mean, with him, it's like kind of impossible not to, right? Which I think was great.
He was fantastic. It was maybe my favorite year of the new.
Okay, well, was it? Okay, so then and then his Billy, right? She was gorgeous. She was fantastic. Well, it was just a fantastic. You said that male energy, then you had that fantastic female energy. I guess here, again, I haven't seen it, guys. You have a certain type of energy with the female energy, but
you're not allowed to have it anymore. And Russell T Davies, I think, wrote and ran that show, and that's why Eccleston left. He said, "This is bullshit. I don't like what they're making me do. I don't like how I'm being treated, and I'm going."
And he almost pretty much confirmed in that interview that got pulled down what I had been saying all along, because there was a lot of people who got upset. I was like, I think he was trying to do this before, and they just wouldn't let him get away with it.
Correct.
He pretty much said now that the producers will let him do whatever the hell they want, or the people in charge, or whatever, however you put it, compared to before. So I think that's true too, and I think you're right. Like that's what happened, and I think this thing has gone so far off the deep end, Michael, that by next year it'll be a joke like Batwoman.
Okay,
Disney and other people.
That's what it is.
Eccleston.
It's not Eccleston. It's Eccleston.
Eccleston.
Have to get the name right.
Apologize, but we all know who that the actor's great. The actor's great. Doesn't really.
Oh, he was just fantastic.
He's great in anything he does, and from what I hear, this actor is very talented as well. I just didn't see it in any of the clips. But
You're
he was
talking
good
about Nakuti or Shikuti?
Yeah, I don't know how to,
Shudigatwa, I mean, his
Shikuti.
range looks like he can play chocolate and gay.
You know what? Okay,
That's
now
it.
here's my problem.
hey,
He
a lot of people like that.
he clearly has got more, royal jelly than the bag lady, which she was not interesting
Maybe.
at all for me at all. It's just that you don't have to, we're not interested in your personal life coming up on screen. You're playing a character.
I was gonna say the bag lady made more sense though as Doctor Who. Like this,
she did. It was terribly written, and her sidekicks were horrifically uninteresting.
regardless, like I think Andre's right. What I have seen of this, and I haven't seen much, so I can't speak to it from much of a point of view. So keep that in mind. But just from what I've seen, I think he's right. It looks more like a fucking skit from some, parody show anymore than it does actually Doctor Who.
Yeah, well, they've reformatted Doctor Who to be who the Russell T Davies wanted it to be all along, and no one's watching it. Congratulations.
That's what it sounds like. On that note, Glade Ribbon sends in 5 and says, I suspect Disney doesn't want Doctor Who to be competition for brands they own and are willing to light on fire. I think they brought this in on purpose because they actually, there's been this campaign, and in doing that video, I haven't been keeping up with Doctor Who, but I did get a little bit of a wake-up call in the history and research of that a little bit. No, Doctor Who has been pushing themselves towards this queer audience for years. Like there's tons of articles, if you go look from the last 4 or 5 years, where they talk about how Doctor Who is now open for the queer audience. It's all about the queer audience now. It's safe for the queer audience. Like they've been pushing this shit for a while. So this is
between Russell T Davies and Chibnall, who have been controlling Doctor Who for more than a decade. Of course that's going to happen.
Yeah. It's weird because Stephen Moffat was working with them, but then he left to do Sherlock, which was the first 2 seasons were phenomenal.
Fantastic.
Season 3 a little off, but
dreadful. No, then it went into the
because then they introduced Enola Holmes as they screwed up at the end, but the first 2 were really great adaptations.
Yeah, and then they got Mrs. Watson, who turned out to be way better than Sherlock and Dr. Watson in terms of her. And she turned out to be a bad person.
She was a mercenary spy. Yeah.
Yeah, that was stupid. It was just so utterly stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, sorry. That was my
played by his real wife, Martin Freeman's real wife.
Really?
And yet they didn't really have much chemistry. Kind of weird.
Weird.
That's pretty bad when you don't have chemistry with your own significant other.
Wow, that's that is they drove that into the ground. So
well, you guys call it the royal jelly.
Yeah.
Over here at the Latino Slant, we call it the magic chorizo. You gotta have that magic chorizo. Like
so that only be the male actors though can have a magic chorizo.
It's energy. It's energy.
Oh, I thought you meant the sausage. The
pure energy.
Pure chorizo.
Just so you know, I love chorizo sausages because they're made with paprika.
Paprika.
That's right, paprika.
Paprika. But it wasn't made for you, so don't worry about that.
How many times have we heard this? Please keep telling us that stuff is not made for us.
Yeah. I was looking for the actual touch grass one I had, but I couldn't find it. So.
As someone who's not a white man,
are you sure about that?
I
keep telling me you are.
I did check my birth certificate, but
well, they keep telling me you are now. So
I just think it's important that that everyone not be silent on this ridiculousness, because it's so divisive where you can't even have conversations and debate. Even with like with us sometimes. So it's just like obviously that stuff is garbage, and it upsets me because it kind of just gets in the way of stuff I want to cover or subjects I want to cover and have great conversations, where it's just like, pause, we got to defend this person, we got to defend that person, but not it's just to where even like that flip side, where even if I know you guys were talking about Assassin's Creed earlier, or even if you bring up a new movie that's a true story. This was a few weeks ago with the Mexican Gulf story. People are like, I don't want to hear about race. I don't want to hear about Mexicans. It's like, yo, chill. We can't even we've even lost discernment with, sometimes within our own peeps. Yeah. It's like, that's because everyone's got this knee-jerk reaction, valid, to all this garbage about, the straight white male is the number one public enemy right now. So you just can't be silent.
And you better remember that, Paulie.
What? Hey,
do better, white man.
The Latino slant is gringo friendly, but not Latinx.
You are a gringo now. When are you going to figure this out? Like, we keep telling you this.
Oh, gotcha.
You have been adopted by white culture. They don't accept you anymore.
You know what? As long as I accept myself,
that's all that matters. Are you going to come out of the closet as white finally?
Yeah. But no, man. That shit's so lazy too, because it's like, all right, well, white men who are, I think, the majority of your movie, of your target audience, or the OG fans, they ain't gonna go. And what happens? They didn't go. And what happens? He didn't make no money. But I got my backup boilerplate, press release. White men, you had to go because you're racist.
That's how you convince us.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, you guys know this.
Yeah.
You guys are white. You know this.
I don't want to be tilting at diversity ghosts unnecessarily.
Yeah, and that's kind of where, there's been a little bit of that here and there, and I've had to say something.
You wait for the product to come out and you see whether it works. People are already complaining about Wicked and the casting of the titular character. And my point of view is, number one, wait for it to come out and see if it works. Now, that being said, the trailer, almost every single actor in there leapt off the screen in the trailer, except for the lead character.
Wait, what movie are we talking about now?
Wicked. The Wicked.
Wicked. Oh, that's what I was looking for before. But,
I don't have like, to me, any issue with these kinds of creative decisions. Like, it's a fictional.
I think the issue, and if I may, that people are having with it, Paul, is that, first of all, they're making it obviously about race.
Yeah, but who cares? Like, my point is, the main problem for me,
people who actually like the actual original play,
the lead is boring as shit.
Well, that's a problem too. Yeah,
that's my problem. And when you see the scenes with her, with Ariana Grande, her energy is off the charts, and you're always looking at her because she is just acting her ass off in this. And she's charming and knows what the role is. And the lead here, and I can't remember her name. They cut around her in the trailer. You could tell they tried to put as little of her in the trailer as possible because she's awful. So my point is, like, find a black actress who's really good. They exist.
That's Ariana Grande
do it? She's better than this person.
I'm sorry, Chato.
Sorry, I'm done.
No, I'm just amazed that's Ariana. I mean, like, you throw up a picture of her in real life, it's like, boy, they really added the pancake makeup on her.
They really did extra white her.
Really strange. She looked like an
because she's the mean white girl who's mean towards the green compatriot. You Latinos are just horrible people.
We are the worst.
We're the worst.
A reviewer for our website, Rosa Parra, she went to CinemaCon and she saw like several minutes of this, and she's not a fan. Like, you know, she's got no invested interest. You know, prior, she's like, this is really good.
Oh, great.
So, granted, and you know, from what she saw, like Fall Guy, Furiosa, Back in Black, it's pretty much she's called it how I feel as well. Fall Guy was fantastic comparative to all these other films. Furiosa looks amazing. Back to Black is just god awful. So yeah, I'm like, listen, it's a musical, right? It's a Broadway musical adaptation, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So the lead,
They know their
character can
audience.
sing. She can definitely sing,
They know that's
but she can't act.
it's a musical. So, you know,
Yeah.
My whole thing is just
tweaking
how
it on
they're
the
twisting
trailer.
it more for the race thing. The other thing I said is it feels like it's 20 years too late, because I have a feeling is going to land like Phantom of the Opera and Cats did, where the hype has been gone for so long for this, because this thing has been in development hell for that long.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
It's the development hell that causes these things to take so long.
Because the sheen of Wicked has worn off, like, to me, because I pointed out, like, this is where it started, like the Maleficents, the Cruellas, all the things we've gotten. This is the first one that did it, and they're going to be the last one to the game now.
Well, I see two different arguments here, right, Chato?
Yeah.
You have how you know how they market it, the whole race thing, that's separate, and then the actual IP is really beloved. I mean, these guys there's YouTube channels devoted to Wicked, devoted to Wizard of Oz. I think so. They have an audience. All they got to do is just serve it up. It'll make.
My point was, so did the Phantom of the Opera and Cats, but that audience, I think, had gotten used to it just being a play, and they were fine without ever having a movie.
Yeah.
But that being said, I wonder if somebody who may be a Wicked fan, but I do know they know something about that whole Assassin's Creed business we're going to get back into. Mr. Ian K, aka Comics Division.
Hello. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. Okay. Do you like Wicked? Are you a fan?
I've never seen the play. I don't know much about it, so I don't have much of an opinion on this.
All right. Well, I'll let Paulie finish his thoughts then quick, and then we'll get back into
I mean, I'm just so blown away that you have such a caliber talent as Ian on the same panel as myself. So I'm
Hi,
kind of lost
Paulie.
for words.
How are you, sir?
Oh my God, I'm great. How are you?
Well, I kind of am part of the
fantastic.
Dicks division, you know. It's kind of.
Oh my God, what'd you say? Wait a minute, this is gonna get real gay.
I did a very fantastic. Yeah. Hi, Script. How you been, man? It's been a while. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, working away, getting stuff done. Nice start to a busy year, even though it's slow on the talent side of things. There's things picking up on people getting pitches for creating stuff. So hopefully when some sales go through, some actors will get back to work. And so far, rumors of the IATSE negotiations seem to be in the positive, which is good to hear. Studios aren't being dicks about it so far. So cross my fingers that maintains and we don't have another strike.
Well, it's a good thing we got a Dicks here.
Yeah, I was just gonna say real fast with Wicked is that they have a devoted following going all the way back to Wizard of Oz, that Cats and In the Heights.
Fair.
What was the other one that you said? Phantom
of the Opera.
Yeah. That they have, it's more limited, it's Broadway, but then also too, you have these two big stars within that within their own circles. Ariana Grande has a huge following. So in that world, this is a home run for them if they don't F it up.
Well, we'll see how they do or don't F it up. But speaking of F it up, Wicked Fanboy sent in 2 on the Doctor Who note and said, "What's up, gents? Doctor Who is dead."
Oh, big time.
Yes.
Also, hi, Podding. I just to say hi to you, and I've been enjoying your appalling news. It's been fantastic.
Thank you very much.
You need to quit encouraging him. He
news out there.
Needs to do more TV guide videos instead. Armchair Troop sends in 5 Canadian, says, "No DEI in the games I play. I mostly stick to military simulators and strategy games made by small independent developers." Well, there you go. That helps. Yeah. First off, I don't know if you heard about the Call of Duty being called out for being DEI from top to bottom. If you want to comment on that before we get into the whole other bit of business I called.
Yeah, I want to hear about that. I haven't heard that.
I haven't heard about it either.
Oh, we read that whole story. What'd you do? Fall asleep, Paul?
No,
yes.
Call of Duty.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I'm not surprised. I mean, this is basically the direction that modern AAA gaming's been going. So, I mean, to hear this, it's not shocking in the slightest.
I'm still shocked that they're calling themselves AAA gaming when they don't qualify.
Right.
Well, I think the bar has been rather low considering how much trouble they've been in over the last several years. So, yeah.
For a refresher for Paul, because it was on screen forever when I was reading it, this story.
Oh,
that
right. Yeah,
Activision has inserted DEI officers on every. Remember this?
Oh,
is the
that
we read?
one. Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
they're basically doing this everywhere, unfortunately. The bridge, I think, is what they're calling it now, where they want to bake DEI literally and everything. They don't want to just have a department. It's like if you're on a dev team, you're going to have somebody that represents DEI there.
Yeah, this is the EA story.
Yeah, so thank God somebody showed up who knows what they're talking about.
Take it away, comics.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
okay.
last night you gave us
Go
a
ahead.
real great, I guess a disrotation is the best word I could come up with for it, on this whole thing with the whole samurai business in Assassin's Creed, and I got bombarded with this morning. I got kind of thrown to the wolves because, yeah. So like, if you could help me out with that, that'd be great. There was asking a bunch of questions about it, and I thought you had a really great take on it last night. So if you can, like, just give us that.
Yeah, sure. So, Yasuke is this? He actually is a historical figure. There's a lot of ambiguity because there's just not a lot of information about him. And I first heard about him when I was watching the show Shogun because some dipshit wrote an article about why is there no black samurai. I was like, there's no black samurai, and I googled it, and I was like, oh, holy shit, there was a black samurai.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then when you really start kind of digging into the historical record, you find out that he wasn't a samurai, at least not the way people were trying to portray him. And what he was brought over by the Jesuits. He was introduced to Nobunaga. Nobunaga took a fascination with him. And there's a lot of ambiguity whether he was a slave or not. According to the Japanese records, they do say he was a slave. And this is coming from the Chronicles of Nobunaga. It's a collection of documents of the time period. Some of them involve the cartas that came from the Jesuits, and he did become a friend. Apparently, he did speak a little bit of Japanese. He probably learned it on his trip to Japan because it's a very long trip if you're coming from Europe during that time period. So the Jesuits kind of handed him off to Nobunaga, and Nobunaga kind of dragged him around. Apparently, they did become friends. He did give him a suit of samurai armor and a short sword, not an actual katana. And
he let him hold his katanas, though.
Yeah, he essentially was like a sword bearer, and you could say that maybe he was the equivalent of like a European squire. So if he did hold the title of samurai, it was more of an honorary title, more so than anything else. And he would basically show the guy off as kind of a cheap party trick because he was very fascinated. They'd never seen a black man before.
Right,
In
he was
Japan.
a curiosity.
Yeah, he was a curiosity.
1500s. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's you can find the story everywhere. When they first met him, or when Nobunaga first met him, they had him stripped down to his waist, and they were convinced that he just dyed his skin. And so they tried scrubbing off what they thought was the dye, and it turns out the more they scrubbed him, the more darker he got. So towards the end of Nobunaga's reign, he was betrayed by one of his generals, and he ended up committing seppuku. So Yasuke was at that point. Where he was, I think, is ambiguous. A lot of the stuff I've read and watched around Yasuke is never mentioned with Nobunaga, but eventually he found his way to Nobunaga's son, who surrendered. And then at that point, they're like, yeah, he's not samurai. He's nothing more than just a beast. And they handed him off back to the Jesuits, and that's where he exits the historical record. Odds are he probably left Europe with the Jesuits. Maybe he died. Like I said, there's a lot of ambiguity around that. So the issue, what we're seeing is this mythology about this black samurai and him being a great warrior. Well, there was a book written and it was released back in 2019. And this is where you started getting all the, I'm not going to say the misinformation, but the mythology about this man, where he was a warrior. Because there's like, oh, he was a bodyguard. No. None of this stuff is in the historical record. There is no proof of that. We do know he exists, but that's literally it. The problem is that book is what is feeding the lie And that's basically, we're seeing history being rewritten in real time. We're seeing what's going on with Wikipedia right now, where they basically left it where it's like, it's ambiguous, we don't know. And that's really the reality of the situation on whether he was truly a samurai. And they went and edited it, and they're basically removing the ambiguity out of it. So you're seeing this myth becoming reality at this point, which is really, really disturbing. And like I said, we do have documents. We have the cartas from the Jesuits. There's also a book that's written in French where it talks a little bit about him as well. And there's even, and I didn't mention this last night on the stream, but there was actually a children's book that was written in 1968 where it talks about him. And even his name is kind of questionable whether that was what he was called. We don't actually know his true name. There's some speculations that it was an adaptation of like this one name, which is not the case because typically with anything in Japan, they don't base anything off of like a European name. They just go and rename the person. And that typically is what happens when someone becomes samurai, you get renamed. Yeah, so that's it. And the other thing too is, which is kind of dumb with this game, is that you have this 6-foot-tall black guy, and this is supposed to be a game about stealth. And how are you supposed to be stealthing around if you literally tower over all these Japanese people? It's kind of funny. And I think a lot of the people that aren't happy with this game, they want to see a male Japanese character. And that's basically it. But of course, if you say that, you just get called racist, and you clearly hate black people.
Maybe the gimmick is you tower around as like an ebony statue on the grounds of feudal Japan.
Just from this picture, that helmet is ceremonial only.
Yeah.
It's never used in battle because it's awkward and large, not heavy.
Well, and this is stuff that Ubisoft used to correct. They were really big on fidelity, right? And of course, we're taking and building off of historical events. That's what they did. But Ademian pointed out one of his videos. Apparently, and I wasn't aware of this, but they went and re-edited one of their trailers because they had a crossbow that was not time period for that game, and they removed it. So they actually cared about fidelity at one point. And when I stopped playing Assassin's Creed, was in the middle of Assassin's Creed Origin, and mainly because it just stopped being the game that I enjoyed playing, and it just became more of a generic RPG. I mean, it's something I would love because I have a background in anthropology. I love reading about ancient Egypt. It's cool the fact that they had a game set in that time period, but I felt it was kind of duller than dishwater, and I got disinterested in it. And that's when I exited out. So I don't know when they kind of broke with the trying to be faithful to history to a point, right? Obviously, they're going to go and embellish things, but they weren't going and saying George Washington was the first astronaut.
I mean, right. We understand there's a sci-fi element and a few other things are going to be embellished, but I mean, when you're trying to be at least somewhat.
Yeah, they were typically, I would say, faithful to history as far as people were concerned, what they did and how they acted, right? About what we knew about them. So like I said, that you had that level of fidelity. And along the way, I'm guessing it must have been around the time of Origins or whatnot, when they started getting into more of the you have Odyssey, and then you have the Vikings won Valhalla, and I'm like, it's like I don't remember ever having to fight mythological creatures. Now it's like, where the hell did this come from? So yeah, it's very questionable now, and it's a shame because I love the I would say the first 3 games, even though there's more in between 2 and 3. They're fantastic, and Ubisoft has basically got off the deep end at this point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I was glad you could come in here and help me out with this because I am complete novice when it comes to all this stuff, when it comes to gaming and historical stuff. But yeah, I thought you had a very interesting take on it, and I thought you could do it justice. So thank you for coming in and saving my ass.
Sure, no problem.
Because as Peter Venkman says here with €6, all the potential panelists you've asked to help you cover the gaming news, just like to see you struggle, Tom. Yeah, I'm sure that's where Comics was like just sitting there going and laughing in the background, going, "Yeah, I'll keep fucking with them, and then I'll show up."
No, actually, I just saw your message, and I messaged you back because I saw it like an hour later. I was like, oh yeah, let me help you out with that. But the other thing too, because of the ambiguity, it really does kind of lend itself to create something that's purely fantasy, right? Like there's a Netflix series on Yasuke, and they're not billing it as being based on, with any kind of grain of truth. And shit like that is fine, right? As long as you understand that this is not true and you're not basing it on reality. They did the same thing with I think it was called Neo, where they're taking William Adams and he's like this badass samurai, and of course that's not nowhere close to reality what the man actually was. I mean, and he was granted a title, and he was considered to be samurai by the Japanese, but he wasn't a swordsman. He was a seaman. He was a pilot of a ship, and he did help out the Japanese with some naval battles, and did a lot of stuff with trading. But that's it. He wasn't going around fighting people, and it's fine if you want to take history and take advantage of that and embellish on it, as long as you're not billing it with any kind of fidelity. And that's kind of the problem that we're having here. And that's the big difference. People want to go and point to Neo and say, see, you guys didn't have a problem with this. It's because he's white and this dude's black and you're just a bunch of racists. It's like, no, that's not reality. They're not making it. This is pure fantasy. And that's like, much like the Yasuke series on Netflix, which I'm going to go check out because it does look, pretty interesting. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much about it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I missed what Nina said. What did she say about samurai?
Oh, she said Afro Samurai is about him. Yeah, that's what you were saying. Like, you can take the idea, you can take the concept, and it would work. But like, yeah, to try and present it as some kind of historical thing, that's like the whole Cleopatra bit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's nothing to support your evidence of any of that.
Well, and the thing that I was talking to Mystery Chris on Carrie's channel a while back, and he's black, and we were talking about the whole thing with like how at times he even struggles with having his identity taken from him. And it's like, and I get that, and that it's like you have something that is actually sounds really fucking cool, right? This idea that you have this guy, he's a foreigner, he comes to another country, and he becomes a samurai. It's pretty cool.
It's literally a canon movie. I mean,
that's Shogun though.
Yeah, well, it is exactly.
It's Shogun.
Yeah, but the thing,
fish out of water stories are always great.
Yeah, exactly. And
fish out of water. Yeah.
I think you have people that are latching onto this because they have, their little history, cultural identity has been stripped from them, and so it's very easy for people to latch onto stuff like that.
Who's they?
I would say black people in America, that were brought over here as slaves, at least their ancestors, having their heritage stripped from them.
But these people, okay, but black people didn't create this game, correct? I mean,
it's created by a bunch of French people.
French Canadians, yeah. The worst.
We're not gaming best.
Okay. I have an idea. I want black samurai. Oh,
it's all Canada's fault, Paul.
I'm from Quebec. From Quebec,
doctor.
Quebecois. Yeah, we need you guys to do this.
From Quebec.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't try to do the Quebecois accent. I watched some kind of American TV show where they were doing, someone was supposed to be from Quebec and they were doing a French continental accent. And I'm going, what is this fucking stupid thing? They don't speak like that in Quebec.
Calling me out right now.
That's completely wrong,
He just low-key called me out.
So let me just look at this whole thing here, right? The last few years. You got Isaac Newton, Cleopatra, Anna Boleyn, and now this. I mean, I gotta tell you, man, I'm kind of offended because you never see these re-envisioned takes of historical figures where it's a fucking Mexican. I mean, what the fuck is going on? That's bullshit.
Didn't you know the Aztec Empire was right in the middle of Europe?
Yeah.
So I
made
a pitch to Ubisoft yesterday on my channel where I was like, I got a new idea. It's called the Japonese Creed. It's a story of a one-legged Cholo Japanese hitchhiker in East LA. And he's got to get back to Kyoto. And he's got to fight all the zombie Wokoso with his sword and his intellect. I mean, that is, I'm joking.
Yeah.
But the point is, why can't you guys just make something zany and creative and have?
Well, because
in the point, you know, in
that's the
the
key thing
video
right
that
there,
I
Paul,
made,
creativity. These people lack it.
right? Because in the video that I made, I pointed out that in Japan now, the last several years, you know, maybe even going back 20, 30 years, the Chicano culture, lowrider culture, cholo culture is huge.
Because they love cars.
Well, it's cars, fashion. I mean, they just have adopted it. Why don't you do something like that? That's zany. That's crazy. That would be a fun video.
Yeah, have low rider ninja carts.
Low riding ninja warriors. You know, from Boyle Heights.
Here's my
that
problem.
Is absurdly awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So ultimately the issue is, and it's not an issue with Black America. It's laziness in terms of shorthand when it comes to diversity. This is a problem everywhere.
Yes,
is that they go, oh, we need a shorthand for something that looks diverse. Well, you Mexicans aren't dark enough.
Well, I think that the bigger issue here
that
we're running into.
That's my point. Not that you can't get a good tan, Paulie. The point is that it's lazy diversity.
Mm-hmm.
You put a person, an African American in that is like, very quick shorthand. Now, the other example that I have is the advertising agencies. You take a look at the ads on TV and which kind of diverse individuals that they pick to put in it. If you want to show, let's say, a Muslim person, then it's always a stunning woman with a headscarf. You will never see a Saudi male with the knitted skull cap and the putty or the white robe on. You know why? Because all Americans will think that's a terrorist. That's the shorthand for terrorist. It's not.
Yes.
It's an incorrect view, but I'm saying that's why the ad agencies, which are full of shit, are full of shit in the same way Hollywood is. They're lazy fuckers. So you want a Muslim person, it's always a stunning woman with a headscarf.
Well, and they always do like with interracial couples too.
Yes.
You no longer see white couples anymore. It's usually always a interracial couple.
And yeah, this is the laziness of it. And what I'm saying, Paulie, is I fully agree. Why couldn't they get get a Mexican in there?
Well, because what you're saying,
sword, or at least a machete.
The audacity of
wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, the audacity of a and it's always these goofball, like ultra left liberals that are running these companies, right? Or that are the storytellers.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's lazy diversity,
right?
By guilty white people.
Well, and you know what? And it's like, look, if you're creative and if you're talented, fuck, I don't care what color you are. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Throw me a zany wild story like I just did. I just threw that story out there,
it's great.
And I'm like, I dare you guys to do that because you couldn't. It's like that Blazing Saddles, Richard Pryor fucking energy. You don't have it because you've been programmed yourself. And that's what we're talking about, is that these creatives are creatives of none. They have no artistic guts. They have no true creative energy to where, you know what? Oh, okay. Well, what's happening in Japan now? Or what's happening? Like, I want to do something. If you want to really do some diversity, do the work, man, and make it so like profoundly just original. And you're like,
hey, Paulie, you know what you need to do? And I'm being serious about this. What you need to do is get some funding and hire some developers and get that fucking story made. I think that would be hilarious. It would be great. And this is the issue that we're running into with gaming, is that because of the wokeness and the DEI, we're losing that level of creativity. And just like you said, going out and just being crazy with something and making a game that's a lot of fun. And I've been saying this for years. If you find a deficiency in the market, don't expect other people to fill it for you or basically morally blackmail them into doing it for you. Do it yourself. And as much as I make fun of that stupid game Validate, at least that group of people went and made their own fucking game.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Hey, you created something original. You did it. You executed it. cheers, but you brought out to the public. Now I get to critique it. That's a different argument.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's a different argument.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
absolutely. But
what you suggested was really fun and creative. It's like Meyer's 7.5% solution. I don't know if you know that movie, but that was just an unbelievable creative leap in logic. You know, getting Sherlock Holmes, working with Sigmund Freud to solve a crime.
listen,
That's the kind of creativity that we need out there.
listen, I recently saw Kiss Me a Killer, which is a noir film produced by Roger Corman, 1991.
Okay.
It starred Robert Beltran, Chakotay, and Julie Carmen, just one of the most gorgeous women on film in the 80s, period. I could not believe how awesome this movie was, and I never heard about it. Literally, they like put it away. It's called Kiss Me a Killer, and yeah, the majority of the cast happened to be Latino, but it was about the genre, right? This woman wanted her husband dead. It was fantastic. The lighting and all that stuff. Like, they can't even do that shit anymore.
Yeah, I love noir.
They cannot pull that off without, I guarantee you, without putting in some sort of agenda in there. And it's like, don't you understand? You can have whatever message you want, but in this case with film noir, or in this case with the Assassin's Creed, hit your audience. Hit. You got to know what they love, right? And if you know, like, people who are fans of film noir, there's certain things you do with lighting and with language. Forget about it, man. You know, we just it boggles my mind. Just the lack of creative execution that Hollywood has right now.
I hate to interrupt, but we are going to be losing Paul here in a few minutes. We do have a super chat or two for him. So Butter Biscuit 92 sent in 5 and said, "No disrespect to Paul, but it's up to Hollywood to convince me to spend."
Exactly.
They are not owed money or benefit of the doubt. They've lost the benefit. Yeah.
Well, that's part and parcel of the same formula. The fact that they've lost it means that they've invested in the wrong things. Now they have to get you back.
Yeah. The wrong things are the things that convince you to spend your money. They don't invest in those.
Look at Disney. I don't think they can put anything out anymore. Their brand is busted.
Yeah, they majorly messed up their brand, which, you know, their target audience was families, and they've obviously moved away from that. And, you know, people are slowly picking up on it. And so, yeah, they're going to keep losing money. Great job.
Yeah. Well, and then Bad News Badger says, with 50 Danish krona, even though no one want to celebrate my birthday with me here. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad to know that all of Norway is celebrating me at the moment. Well, I didn't know they were celebrating you. Well, happy birthday, Bad News Badger. And there's a thing that happens around here in birthdays. See if I can get him up.
Oh, no. I'm sure he's still asleep.
What? Okay. Is it long bender last night? I mean, I had to fight the penguin. Shit. Where's my thing here? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. It's her kid's name here. Happy birthday to you. Don't drink vodka mixed with Jack Daniels ever again. That's I gotta go. Anybody got any aspirin?
Got Tylenol.
He got a little drunk last night, it sounds like. Well, happy birthday, Bad News Badger. Glad to hear that.
Happy birthday. Have a great day.
So Paul,
Yes.
I don't know if I see any more for you here, but as I'm looking, you want to go ahead and plug your wares.
Yep. Just see me on Call Me Chato, or my other channel, Appalling News, APAULING. For the summer, I'm going to crank it down to just one each a week, so I can just enjoy myself.
As we get into some of the hottest
You crazy
political
people that do stuff every single day, I can't.
I was going to say that it's just going to heat up now with the political stuff, man. And you're going to slow
Yeah,
down.
but I don't get involved in American politics.
True.
I don't blame you.
I mean, why should I?
Probably a
I
good
mean, I tell
policy.
my
Canadian, yeah.
friends who are freaking over it. I said, not our country, not our president. So,
It's a
like,
good problem.
relax. We have our own.
All right. When take care of yourself and check out Paul's channels. And thank you for being here. And we'll see you soon.
Am I seeing you in a few minutes there, Script?
Yes, because I have to leave as well.
Oh, all right. Never mind.
I told you 20 minutes ago in the chat.
That's true. I was just going to ask you how much more time you had, but that answers that question.
Well, Script and I have a date.
Yes, we have
you
things
do.
to get done.
To see Doctor Who together?
Fucking Canadians conspiring. That's all I see.
Even better. But
yes,
can't say. Bye, everyone.
Take care.
Canadians
Much love, guys.
conspiring. Check out Script Doctor's Patreon and his channel. He has scripts on Saturday. What you got coming up tomorrow?
So tomorrow we are doing, let me just double check here, because I don't always remember my script titles, but we're doing a screenplay called Backcountry, which is it's a sports themed screenplay. There's been a lot of those this year, and they're cool. So yeah, we'll be covering that one as well, and then so yeah, it's part of like the future of extreme skiing. So there's a drama associated with that. Which will be,
skiing?
Yeah, I'll be talking with Price of Reason tomorrow with that one. So that'll be a fun show. So come on by and swing on down because we'll be going live there. And as some of my other co-hosts are actually celebrating a holiday next week, which is closer to the actual May 2-4 weekend, that will most likely be a recorded show that will be premiering on that time slot. But unless someone wants to actually pop in live of my crew, we'll be doing that pre-recorded. All right. So thank you very much. Yep. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
So what's the script? Let me know. All right. Take care.
All right. Take care, guys.
See you, Script Doctor.
Later. Let's get back into some super chats here. We got Jason Webster who says, "Oh, what about the hit I Got Crabs and I Ain't Talking Seafood by singing sensation Buford Tyler? The song recounts the aftermath of his one-night stand with a nightclub cage dancer, Melinda Cartwright." Okay, now I gotta.
Is that your song?
No, but it will be.
That's funny.
And then Melinda.
But you had song, he comics. I don't know if you know he did some mariachi Mexican.
Oh no, I didn't know about that. That's funny.
I played them on my channel. Just so you know, I also spotlight, Gringo Tom doing mariachi music.
And then Jason Webster follows it up with Melinda, a former member of the LAPD SWAT team, held down with 2 other jobs as a dog breeder and firearms instructor, was famous for always wearing sunglasses to hide the fact she was cross-eyed. Oh wow, that's a lot to work with. Thank you, Jason. Because yes, I just dropped your other song. I don't know if you heard it or not, but I dropped it last night. So yeah, hopefully you got to hear it.
And can I just say one more thing about all this history garbage?
Sure.
There's just so many interesting people of different backgrounds that have fascinating stories that's already there. They exist. Just pull from them.
Well, like one of the things I mentioned before, it's like, and I did this mocking because somebody basically, I basically reversed their argument. I was like, this is essentially would be them like creating a game in Africa, and you have a Japanese protagonist. It's like people want to play a Japanese character set during that time period. Again, talking about fidelity, right? I think it'd be kind of neat if they actually did a game that took place in Africa. I don't remember where Shaka Zulu is from. Set during that time period, have them fighting, the British or something. My history on that part of the world is very much lacking, so I really can't. If I'm fucking wrong on stuff, that's why. But you could go just look at African history, pick a country or an area in Africa, and you could build a Assassin's Creed narrative around that, especially during the time of colonization, where you have the British coming in and trying to take over, and you can have various members within both Britain, not just as well as Africa too. You can have some people that are some black characters, maybe have them be Templars as well, and then you have the British as well being Templars, and you could create a very interesting narrative around it. And it's like that's not woke. It's just something new. But the thing is, all these people, what they want to do is they just want to take European stuff, history, lore, whatever, and they literally want to culturally appropriate it rather than going and looking to Africa. It's like you want diversity, you want to have a black assassin. There's plenty of areas throughout history where you can go and do this. You have the age of piracy going on. You could have like they did with Black Flag, except have a a black pirate captain be the assassin. You could do stuff in like I said in Africa. So, but the thing is they don't want to do that.
I'm with you. There was a Japanese samurai, kid you not, indigenous Aztec skirmish that happened.
Really?
In Mexico.
That's crazy.
It's history. It's like, but see that's too much heavy lifting for these clowns.
Yeah.
What Ubisoft probably saw was, Shogun's in production. This is going to be the thing. We got to jump on it. Let's, because they work backwards, right? It's a couple years ago that this was probably in the making. It takes a minute to make these games, right? Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of it too is I think they have their engine figured out for the most part. So at this point, I don't know how much is different between the various games, as far as functionality that has been added in, because typically with the Ubisoft stuff is that you see like incremental improvements, but for the most part, their engine is basically pretty solid. So it's just character modeling and coming up with a narrative. So I kind of feel like the reason why Ubisoft is able to go and crank out Assassin's Creed games is because of that, because you're just dealing with the modeling and narrative and maybe some additional functionality.
So I gave them too much credit. So they really grifted on this Shogun thing.
Well, I'm sure they've been doing it. This game has probably been, my guess would be at least development for maybe a year or two.
It's just weird though, because Shogun came out, then you had that whole article, and I remember reading that, which I was like, well, what the hell does it have to do with the story of
the one thing I left out, I did mention the book, right? That was published in 2019 that started kind of this revisionist history. Yeah. So, I mean, back in 2013, because like one of the former, he was a contract developer or contractor. I don't know if he was a developer, but he's on Twitter. He basically listed out his pitch that he was working on back in 2013, 2014. And it's like vastly different. It was very much a Japanese story. And the thing, it's funny watching the games journalists now bending over backwards saying, protecting Japanese culture doesn't matter or it's not important. It is, it's funny because they are seriously trying to bend the narrative at this point. And you should see the reaction from the Japanese about this. They are very concerned about this and they don't like it. And he had like one guy say, it's like, now I understand cultural appropriation because he feels like his culture is being
right. I saw that too. One last thing too is that, and just because they do exist in history doesn't necessarily mean it makes a great movie or entertainment piece.
Mm-hmm.
Because probably that guy was no more than just a servant or just a curiosity. Yeah, that's not really good drama. Well, let's fluff it up.
Yeah. Well, like I said, if you're doing it, and
which is fine if you're doing Afro Samurai, right?
Yes.
Like something that's clearly not trying to be historically accurate or pushing as an historical thing. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean you're right, and that's the thing. I was having I was getting barraged by Black Twitter. And that was
really?
Now I know what it feels like to be Ryan Kennel. But I was having conversation with this one guy. I'm assuming he's probably a young man. He wasn't like outright attacking me, but we were kind of going back and forth. And he's like, I just want to see, a Black Samurai. It's like, I can respect that. I really can.
You have a few already though.
Well, but yeah. And I said, just like, go check out Afro Samurai. It's a great movie. You'll like it. And then he suggested to me that the Neo game, which has been brought up. I was like, so I've been told. But it's like, I get that, but there's like, there's lots of stuff out there. There's lots of media that already exists. You have Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai, movie that's it's been out there. You have the Yasuke series from Netflix, and I understand wanting to play a Black Samurai in a game.
And it's not like there hasn't been
concept.
a lot of martial arts crossover with
Bruce Leroy,
all kinds of stuff in the past. So my point is like, and to me, what I was going to get to is I think I've noticed this, especially among the younger groups, is that they're being taught this shit, and we know that. But it's like that conversation you were having with that person is like, they're just so into their own worldview that they've been told and bombarded with everything is racist, everybody's against you,
right?
It's like, how do you expect somebody to thrive in society when that's all they're being told?
Well, it's a control mechanism. That's all there is to it.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure that a lot of people said that kind of shit in the past, but also it was backed up by you need to prove yourself to everybody, like that kind of shit. And there's a great speech in House Party 2 of all movies where the teacher's saying basically that it's all about at that time, how affirmative action was a big thing, and the teacher was talking to Kid about how you're going to have to prove that you belong there, not just because of the color of your skin. It's like,
right.
This was something from a movie from 30 fucking years ago.
Because
and here we are
knew
now having the same goddamn conversation in reverse. It's weird.
Well, it never went away. That's the thing.
Yeah, and if I'm going to address someone in the chat, PM saying I'm a race baiter, bring up a point without race. I actually did. I actually said, as a creator, you should be able to create anything you want from anywhere. It doesn't matter as long as you have creative vision. And I think I say this all the time on my channel. So I think you're missing the point is that no one wants to be tagged as something, right? Or he's just a Latino director. He's just a
black director,
a black thing. They're the last person that wants to be tagged that. Trust me, I know personally. Right.
Well, yeah, I don't know if you know who Christopher Priest is. He's a comic book writer. He's also just happens to be a black man, and he was running through this, and he was interviewed talking about this. This is like 2018, right around there. He's like, I don't want to be known as a black comic book creator. It's like I want to go and I want to write stories about Batman and Superman. I'm tired of Marvel and DC coming to me wanting me to write black characters, and I can see both sides of that argument of, hey, I do want to create black characters and write for black characters. And that's fine too.
Absolutely. They're both valid.
You're limiting yourself. If you're going to tag yourself as I want to be the black director or this, that, and the other, I feel that you're limiting yourself. But it's your prerogative and you have every right to do it.
That's a different right. And that's an interesting argument. But the whole point of this conversation is we did not create Assassin's Creed.
No.
We are simply talking about it. And also how it's an example of entertainment's lack of creative guts, their laziness when you're trying to approach something first through a DEI lens is a failure. It's a failure, guys. So I mean, that's all I'm going to say on in regards to
and that's. Let's get back into super chats anyway, because I'm sure we're going to get more into this topic as we go along. Graf Webb sends in $2 as he always does, and thank you very much for telling everybody to hashtag cancel Disney Plus.
Yes,
appreciate that.
Yep.
And we got this one already, Glade Ribbon, earlier, but appreciate that again. Jason Webster has a question for the panel for $5. What are everybody's thoughts on the trailer that dropped for the Dune streaming series entitled Dune Prophecy? We talked a little bit about this the day before. I thought as far as production wise, I think it looks very much in line with the films and stuff like that. So that part's good. But I have to agree with Andre's take on it that there's probably half a dozen other better stories that you could have told in the Dune universe than this. So I don't know about your guys' opinions.
I haven't watched it yet. I saw it dropped, but I didn't see it.
Well, the whole setup for the show has been established for the last couple of years as far as the history of the Bene Gesserit.
We knew it was going to be about the Bene Gesserit. Yeah,
when we knew that this is not like this was always part of the plans for what's his name, the director,
Denis Villeneuve,
right? That as far as his new world of Dune, some of it looked really good. Again, it's a trailer.
Visually it looks fine. I got
fine.
nothing to say against that.
I just this happens 10,000 years before. Okay, let's see some origin. Yeah, why not? I don't know. I do know the book was written by his son, right? Not Frank. So anything more expertise than that, I'd have to defer to Nerd Cookies.
Yeah. So with that though, let's see here. Was there anything I needed you to address in the super chats? I don't think so. I think Paulie's sticking around and I got one for him. So I think we're okay, but you have to leave, Ian. So thanks for being here. We're always happy to have you.
No, thanks for inviting me.
But for calling in at the last minute for your expertise, I appreciate it.
No, I wouldn't even say it's expertise. I mean, this is just like I said, I went through.
You know more than I do.
Trying to find the historical record, because that stuff is very important. And it definitely certain things trigger my OCD, especially when it comes to history and arguing with people about facts and reality. It's like it definitely triggers something. So I've done a pretty decent job of digging up the actual documents. Some other people have as well, and it's just that this is just it's just revisionist history, unfortunately, and it doesn't help anyone.
Well, you certainly helped me today, so I appreciate it. So
you're welcome.
Check out Comics Division's channel. I pop in there usually on Mondays and Thursdays and such. So join us there, and you have shows a couple nights of the week, actually.
Yeah, Monday and Thursday, 9 p.m. We strictly just mainly try and keep it about entertainment and not politics, but sometimes it seeps in because the two are kind of intertwined at times. And then Wednesday, we stream at 8 p.m. on Rumble, where we primarily talk about politics, things that are going on in the world. And sometimes culture slips into that.
And we'll probably see you on FNT later. So
yes, you will.
Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you very much, Polly. Good seeing you. And I'll check me out, and everyone in the chat. Hello, and take care.
Take care, brother. Great seeing you.
With that, let's get back into these super chats. What do you say, Polly?
Yeah, let's do it.
Chaos Sonic 1 says, heads up on X update on this, and the game gets worse. All right, let me see what you sent me here, Chaos.
Really fast while you're doing that, I did notice that X is now X.com.
It is.
Twitter.com is gone.
It says Ubisoft hired a specialist in Japanese gay literature to work with Assassin's Creed Shadows. That almost sounds like an oxymoron.
Say that again?
Japanese gay literature. Ubisoft hired a specialist to work with them on Assassin's Creed. She is an expert in gender studies, investigating romantic relationships with adolescent boys.
Oh, is that the woman that they've kind of like called out on Twitter?
Yeah, that's what it looks like here, and I don't want to get too deep into this one.
Yeah.
YouTube's probably not going to like that, but thanks for the heads up on that one, Chaos Sonic. And then we got Jason Webster sending another Australian 5 and says, even Pigs in Space and the Muppet Show is better sci-fi than recent Doctor Who. Pigs in Space. Yes, it is. Dobbin's been here for 31 months. Thank you for that. Michael Nemo sends in 10 and says, I came across two guys yesterday in a used CD shop talking about Star Wars, and I inserted myself and spoke about Star Wars and Trek and Doctor Who, and not once argued. So refreshing. Online is only arguing. Oh, so there you go.
It's it's always a different game in person, Michael.
It is.
It's always good to because then you get to see that other person and vibe and then have good conversation. I think that's why whenever I can, I get to those movie meetups, and it's fun to see that whole gang, because everyone's just passionate about stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Then ActionCom says with 5, how would you compare Yasuki to Oliver Stone and what he did? That's a good question. I would say, because a few times that he's done actual his JFK, outside of just the stuff that the film presents as far as the actual case, is turning out to be more accurate than we thought. Now the characters themselves in the film, that there's a little bit more argument to be made there. The bigger differences here is, I think we're talking about, I think the Queen one was a better example, because there's some stuff that's shifted around and they don't show in there for obvious reasons. But at the same time, does it change the overall goal of the story, or does it change who it's presenting as a reality? And that can be a very deep and varied conversation depending on who the subject is, right?
Or what the subject is, correct.
Or what now his doors, there's a lot of people who would argue that that's very much what happened. There's some people would say no, it's not. There's a few things that we know are amalgamized, and that'll happen.
Right.
Uh,
That's my question. Is
yeah.
what is Action Com talking about? Like which Oliver Stone?
Yeah,
film?
which Oliver Stone, because he's done a few things that
He's
were
done a lot.
historical. So, like, yeah.
Nixon, the Doors.
Yeah, Nixon. I forgot about Nixon too. That's right.
Yeah. W.
So, like,
did he do W?
Oh, he's talking about the Doors. Okay,
Oh,
so yeah, he did
okay.
W as well. Okay, so the Doors. See, the only thing that I know as far as he sensationalized an aspect of Jim's personality, but a
Now
lot of
he's
people
saying
would
all of
argue.
them.
Yeah, oh, all of them. Yeah, now he's saying all of them. Okay, so that's the thing. Like the Doors. Okay, he did exploit and exaggerate certain aspects of Jim's personality. While probably ignoring others. That's
Mhm.
probably the biggest thing I could say there. But he didn't change Jim into a black dude.
I mean, Val Kilmer tans very well.
Yes.
Val was the biggest thing at the moment. You know, at that moment, they were calling Val the next Brando, and so Stone really fell in love with the subject. It's like, you know,
Yeah, and I mean, if you ask all the people involved with the band, they'll say a lot of that stuff is pretty accurate. Now, the one witch lady that he married or whatever said a lot of that stuff didn't happen that way. But as far as my understanding, that character also owned a lot of that stuff when she says that, because that character is supposed to be based on like 3 people amalgamized into one. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, that's the other
just like
problem
with
you have there. La
Richie
Bamba's a
Valens,
good
La Bamba.
example of that too, where they
Richie's girlfriends.
amalgamized a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Right.
They made
Yeah.
Donna just the one girlfriend. Exactly. Yeah.
So based on true events, you take liberties for dramatic purpose, and does it work in the film? To me, I don't think Doors worked as a film, you know, as a whole. You know, with Assassin's Creed, they're not taking dramatic license; they're changing history. And look, if it's entertainment, whatever, but is it good? I don't even know if Assassin's Creed is even good. You know, you'd have to ask someone who's a fan of those games. But you know, I do know too, Oliver Stone is a very unfiltered,
And he has a very biased point of view, and he does like to exploit certain things.
there's that too.
So you have to
Especially when
take
it's
that into
political.
consideration.
Right.
But a lot of us know that going into a Oliver Stone film at the same time.
Correct. You know what you're
Oh,
gonna get.
We have a non-YouTuber here.
Oh shit! It's 2 aren't allowed, man.
I was gonna say we got to turn this. We got to take over.
Oh my! Whoa!
Loud.
Oh,
It's
something's
like
up.
pop in, something's up.
Something's
Do it
up.
again.
I'll be right back.
You have to check and see if
That's-
Zoom's not plugged in or something. Yeah, he's got to refresh or
Salvador.
something.
I recently rewatched Salvador. That's listen, Action Com. Oh my God, you guys got to see this film. James Woods, Oscar nominated performance that year for this role. It is this is a good example of what I'm talking about, guys. Tom, you could not make this film today.
I haven't seen this one, so yeah, I don't know much
Really?
about it.
Okay. All right. It's based on true events, and they use a fictional photojournalist, just James Woods, but he's a loser. He's a drunk. He's fucking hilarious. He is full tilt the entire film, right? And him and Jim Belushi get in their convertible Mustang and drive to El Salvador just to go get work, and they're drunk most of the time. This movie, but then it gets real serious, right? Because it does cover some true events, what happened in Salvador. But Stone used that political, social, economic upheaval as the backdrop to these fictional characters, which I think is great. You can do that because he really, nuns were really taken out of the bus, were draped and murdered. That was a huge
Okay,
huge
I
story.
vaguely remember that story.
Right.
Yeah.
And Cynthia Gibb played the nun that James Woods knows. So, and then Romero, the Catholic priest who was going after the government, the establishing government. Yes, he was assassinated, and that was briefly shown through the eyes of James Woods' character. Fantastic film.
Action Com is comparing that to Titanic, and I can see where that is like, because Titanic created those two characters that didn't exist, or actually more than two.
Carrillo's in it as well. There's she's like the MVP of the '80s, and she was in Predator. She was in Salvador.
Mikey, we got you back here.
Is that better?
Yes, that's much better. We can at least understand you now. So hopefully you got your you're fine. Hopefully you got your $5 out of that Action Com. Prater Life is here and sends in 5 and says if they wanted to do AC with black character, do it with African, do it in Africa, bro. I mean, seriously, it's total pandering. You could do that. I'm sure there's plenty of historical events in Africa that you could could have Assassin Creeded into. I guess if that's the term. I don't know what the hell you'd call it. Zap yourself into.
It's not like there's not assassins. There weren't assassins in different African kingdoms. I mean, that would have been wild, man.
I've only played a couple of the games. Have they had an actual ninja yet? You know, ninjas who are assassins. If they actually had a ninja one with nunchucks, I might play it.
All I know is growing up in East LA, you'd always see a cholo practicing his nunchucks on the corner.
Goddamn right.
Still has them. That guy's still there.
You gotta keep your skills up. Trust me, I'm lacking.
I've got 2 pairs 10 yards from here hanging.
These
on
two
I
my
got more. You should see my fucking collection, yo.
I'm better.
I gotta get my ass back out and fucking. I need to get.
I mean,
I
totally completely
guarantee
different.
I'll kick your ass in nunchucks, Tom.
See, this is the
Maybe.
thing, Tom. Look out, because this guy sucker punched me with his freaking lightsabers a couple of years ago.
I saw that.
Yeah,
but never underestimate my chucking skills. It may not be as good as I want.
I'm like, I collect them, but I don't turn them on very often. And then we got to his house.
He injured my damn hand for like 2 weeks.
I've been nunchucking since I was a little child. So,
oh really?
DCB Titan,
I'll be right back.
Oh, don't even.
Oh,
I can't go grab mine. He's doing this on purpose.
Go
DCB Titan says with 10, they're all upstairs packed away. I took Assassin's Creed as a historical. Yeah, I don't have a place to hang them and shit here. Trust me, it's a whole subject. DCB Titan sent in 10 Canadian, said I took Assassin's Creed as there's historical events and then Assassin's Creed secret history events just off to the side that you can play, and the two histories play off of each other for the story. That seems to have changed. Yes, and I think that's the issue I think people are having, and that's kind of going back to what we were just talking about Action Com with the film thing. It's even more different here where you're actually taking. Yes, that was my understanding of the stories before, is you're somebody who was playing alongside events that happened, but your character wasn't an actual whatever, but now they are. Well, those are padded.
Damn, look at you.
Those are nice. I like those.
It's Cocoa Below hardwood. It doesn't get any harder than that.
Well,
I said I like those.
Stand up in the back and throw some moves,
show us
man.
some skills. You can't just
make
him
big.
Shit.
Make him big, dog. Oh snap! Take that shit off. Take that shit off.
I'm working on it. All right. All right.
With the right to left.
Not bad.
Back to the right. Oh snap! This guy. Oh.
I don't know. Me and Snowdub might have to show you some skills.
Wow.
You're good.
Mexican Iron Man is my hero, dude.
You're good. But one of these days, I'll show y'all.
You know what, Tom? Tom,
hey,
you have your shit packed up, first of all.
I know that's a problem.
So then you're like talking smack. So
I don't even have room. That's my problem. That's why I don't have
room.
I don't have room. That's my main issue. But I concede everything else. If it was a lightsaber battle, he whooped my ass.
Well, all I gotta say is I don't need no weapons. All I got these, dog. I got these.
I don't know. He whooped your ass with a plastic lightsaber.
That should hurt.
Vic the Stampede sends in 100. I think that's Czech. Is that Corona?
I don't know.
Is that what they got over there?
Coronas.
Do you guys feel?
Corona.
That's what I was thinking. Do you guys feel something odd? We complain about not being able to play as a real samurai, and this flood of accounts are instantly out there accusing everyone of being racist. I don't know about feeling odd. I would expect it at this point. I think I would be more surprised if they didn't.
Yeah.
But Mecha J said that was some epic nunchucking.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, at this point, I'd be more surprised if they didn't call us racist. Then ActionCom says to Paulie, Star Trek got you covered. There's an episode where Kakul Khan was a founder of the universe.
Yeah. The Mayan god, Kukulkan.
Kukulkan.
Not that pinche Namor.
You say it like you got to say it like you're underwater. Yeah, there we go. Ian Carrolls is here and sends in 2 and says, why did comics steal my name? I don't know. Why did he? We'll have to ask him that. Sorry, I didn't get that while he was still here. Chaos Sonic 1 sends in 5 and says, new Assassin's Creed game idea. Mexican Iron Assassin, Hunter of Bob Iger, and Elf. Yes.
Heck yeah. Send me in, coach.
We need a Mexican Iron Man game. That would be fun.
Yeah. You'd like hunt for your lost sombrero. Oh, you know what? Me and Paulie would do it where you start at 305 pounds and you keep working your way down to 185, 190.
It'd be the Sombrero of Truth. Is that the name of the game?
Oh yeah, you could throw it in there, but it's all under Japonese Creed. You know, the game that I pitched.
I love Paulie's idea. And by the way, Paulie, is there going to be like part of the game? I mean, no one's talking about the important role that Latinos played in Japanese culture. I mean, I think it were Mexicans that probably taught them how to do bonsai trees. I mean, that's the best landscaping shit ever, right?
You're not wrong. You know what the game has got to be though? Actually, it's not you looking for your sombrero. You get stones at the end of each level for your sombrero. When you get all the stones, you get like Mexi powered. Instead of Maxi powered, you get Mexi powered. And you can, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen, it's way more entertaining. But you know, I sent you the photos. I mean, I'm not joking.
Oh yeah, the thing.
Japanese people are. There is a culture in Japan that are, you know, they look like my cousin Andy. I mean,
would you call them Jolos? I don't know.
Japonés. Those are Japoneses.
Japonés.
I mean, okay, this is in Japan, first of all.
Japanese.
These are 3 Japanese ladies. You got the Pendletons, and they got the first 2 buttoned up, the white t-shirt underneath. You can't see it, but the full photo is that they have Dickies, different colored Dickie pants on, and then there's one homegirl.
Oh, Dickies.
And this one homegirl right there on the far right, she's got her Mexican blanket bolsa. I mean, she's repping, bro. That's in Japan. So don't give me this shit. But what do we get?
Yeah,
we get
a blacker eye.
Oh my god. Anyways,
that's what we got.
Yeah.
One of these days, Nunchuckosaurus will be in an Assassin's Creed game. Japoneses.
Yeah, that's Japoneses. There's a lot of fun play on words. Japoneses.
Now you guys are making me want to go get some Mexican food for dinner.
Oh, I'm making a breakfast burrito when we get off.
Oh man. All right, guys.
Yeah.
I think we've killed this one. This is one of those streams. Thank you so much to Ian and Paulie and Mike for coming in here and helping me out, and of course Paul and Script for being here at the top of the show. Thank you guys out there for understanding my idiocy when it comes to video games. And yes, Taco Bell for the win. No, actually, I'll go to one of those better restaurants. We got real places around here. Hyper Guyver 2 sends in a last minute $5 super chat, says, oh yeah, fellow checker, eh? That first set is a proper pair. I hate the chain and ball bearing. Mine are solid white oak. I've exploded a lot of watermelons.
Wow.
Did you have to fix those already, Mike? Is that what's on the end there? Or what's that thing on the end there?
These are nylon. What are you talking about?
Oh, you got they look like they're glued.
Oh, you mean this right here?
Yeah. Did you have to fix it?
No, what I did. Well, what happened is that I didn't like the little. Sometimes when I grab it like here, I would get the knot, and so I just grabbed the lighter, and then so that's burnt nylon to seal it.
Got ya. Cool. Yeah.
Nice.
And then we got STR Red Wolf who sends in 2 and says, "Is time for the soggy marsupials?" Yes, it is. I'm gonna let Mikey say it this time.
And with that, it is time for some koalas in the rain.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koalas in the rain. Give 'em